Hey, what is up, y'all? Happy weekend, happy December, happy start to the holiday season. I am finishing up with teaching my very first 2 college composition courses. Still my dream job, by the way, still best thing ever. But let's just say AI is very prevalent. All right. In the first week of class, we have a whole AI dedicated lecture and writing assignment where I basically just have them read one essay written by a student, one essay written by ChatGPT. They have to guess which one was written by the human, strengths, weaknesses, what do you notice, yada, 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 right? Because here's where it gets funky. Legally, in the academic world, we all know about academic plagiarism, right? You use someone else's work either intentionally or unintentionally through lack of citing your sources. That's bad juju, right? You get a 0 in the course, reported for plagiarism, put on probation or suspension, or you can get expelled if it's a bad enough circumstance and if it's consistently happening. But in this new world of AI, the rules aren't so clear. If you use AI technology to write your essay for you, so if you go into ChatGPT and you put in a prompt and say, write me a literary analysis essay about 1984 by George Orwell, and it spits out a full 5-paragraph essay, yes, that's plagiarism. And that's pretty clear cut. We can easily enforce that rule. But here's where it gets tricky, because if you write the essay and then run it through Grammarly or ChatGPT for proofreading, spell check, that's not technically plagiarism. And the problems I'm seeing, and every other teacher is seeing, is that there is no clear line between those two scenarios. So it can easily bleed from one to the other, and you can't really pinpoint it. And so Grammarly, Phrasely, tech like that, it doesn't just spell check anymore, which makes things even harder. Because if you type something in Word, it'll say, hey, this is spelled wrong. Hey, I think you missed a period here. Hey, this should be an apostrophe. And that's it. It doesn't say anything else on word suggestions, recommendations for clarity, nothing. It just tells you this is grammatically incorrect and or this is spelled incorrectly. But with things like Grammarly and Phrasely now, they go beyond that and it will actually give you better writing suggestions. You can write the shittiest rough draft. And this is totally from my imagination. This isn't something that a student actually submitted. Why would they do that? Quote, and so since my boyfriend rides motorcycles and I think it's cool, but he never wears a helmet because he said it's like uncomfortable and also that's like your freedom to do whatever you want and he thinks that's like infringing on his rights or something, but I think it's dangerous because like what about when he gets in a wreck and he could like die or something and then he's leaving his kids behind without a father, but I guess it makes sense now and how do you enforce it? But I still think you should be wearing a helmet like whether it gets hot or not, safety is more important, unquote. Sorry, I tried to do it in one breath because it was all technically one sentence with no punctuation, but couldn't hold out that long. And so Grammarly, for example, it will read all of that shit and recommend, quote, despite concerns for freedom of choice and personal liberties, it's crucial that all motorcycle riders wear the proper safety equipment in order to avoid serious personal injury or death, unquote. Is that so much better and clearer? Yes, obviously. But was that sentence written by the student? Legally debatable, technically. And honestly, I say no, but that's just my personal opinion, right? Because here's my thing. Like, if you're in a college composition class where you're being graded and evaluated based on your ability to communicate concisely, clearly, effectively, and with grammatical accuracy, are you truly meeting those standards and those expectations and those educational goals? Because technically, you're not able to do that. You're using technology to make a product that meets those goals, but you're not actually doing it yourself. But that's just my opinion. But that's where it gets fuzzy because there is a very, very fine line that's not always noticeable between using AI content and technology to revise, proofread, edit, your writing versus using AI to generate writing. And I definitely see the argument, like if you're in the corporate sector and you're swamped with a million projects and life, and if you're like, yeah, I can use AI to make this job be done faster with the same, if not better quality than what I could personally do, I think that's much more explainable. But if you're in school specifically and you're being evaluated, I personally just have a hard time justifying it as not cheating or not as academic dishonesty. So what do I personally do for grading every day when I read material that I think might be AI generated? First, I do think it's super important to know your students and know their real writer's voice so that you can detect AI more accurately. I think that's the biggest piece. And then second, there are some software systems that teachers can use to detect AI generated content. If you were in school recently in the last 12 years, whatever, if you remember Turnitin, your teachers can run that through the Turnitin software and it will detect plagiarism from outside sources, other student papers that were submitted and posted online, any websites, whatever, right? And it's essentially that, but just for AI generated content. And that is very helpful because it will give you a percentage of likelihood that it was AI generated. But unfortunately, it's not 100%. I've tested it a lot with various AI tech software, like ZeroGPT, ChatGPT, all those, right? It doesn't always flag everything as AI. I've never seen it flag human writing as AI, but it's definitely missed some AI content, and it will say that it's human generated. Because ChatGPT is getting very, very advanced. You can tell it to include grammatical errors. You can tell it to, quote, sound more human, and it'll cut out any formal language or those very traditional dead giveaways of AI writing, like using any transitional phrase to start your paragraph, using in conclusion to start your conclusion, little things like that. It will remove those, and it honestly does. It just sounds like good writing, which is very concerning because a lot of times the new prompts, it does actually sound human. And so if I'm grading and if I have suspicions that this work was AI generated or predominantly AI generated, I'll run it through the software, and if it flags as AI, then I'll reach out to the student and be like, hey, what's going on with this assignment? It doesn't sound like you. Can you explain what you meant by this and this and that? And then usually at that point, the students will cave and be like, yeah, I used AI. And then we go from there. But it's just wild to me because, like you guys know, I definitely overcompensate and go overboard with the whole schooling aspect. I cling to that classroom environment just because it wasn't really provided to me as a kid. And I was always told that college was never for me and I'd be a leech on society if I ever got student loans, whatever. So I do think that because of that, I absolutely overcompensate. And I do have a tendency to hold grudges against kids that are given the opportunity to go to whatever school they want with their parents footing the bill, and then they don't appreciate it. I recognize that I get unnecessarily tilted when I hear them talk about not caring or skipping class because it's boring or whatever else. And we were actually, I still get mad thinking about it. We were just at a work conference for Daniel. And we were all going out to dinner. It was like a Tuesday night or something. And one of his coworkers was like, oh, I'm stressed about these essays I've got to submit. I have to get back early to work on homework due tonight, whatever. And this other coworker that was around was like, oh, you're such a nerd, that's lame. Just use ChatGPT and have it draft up your discussion posts. And then you can use this program and you can schedule it to post to the discussion boards on your school's learning software website, and you can schedule it to post and then schedule it to do the responses to the classmates and blah, 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 right? It'll do everything for you. And the other person was like, no, I can't do that. I'd feel like it's cheating. Like, I just can't. And she knows that I'm a teacher, right? So she's kind of looking at me, eyeballing me like, bro, this person's just openly admitting to academic plagiarism in front of a professor. And so she's kind of looking at me like, oh, but I was like, oh, let's see how far she'll take it. So I let him keep talking. And this cheater pumpkin eater was legit bragging about how she hasn't done a single assignment on her own for any of her classes, and on and on and on about all this. And I got a little tilted. Because here's my thing. Why are you in school if you aren't willing and open to doing the work? You get a degree, maybe, if you can stick it out that long. But what does that even mean to you at the end if you didn't even do the work to earn it? You're paying to be there. And school is expensive, right? Like, you're paying tremendous amounts of money to be there, via you don't care enough to actually try. And for the counter argument, because I know y'all are probably thinking it, like, if you're not paying for the classes, if the military is covering tuition, or your parents or whoever is covering your tuition bill, again, why are you even there if you don't care to be there? And here's my hot take. If you're in the military and you are only taking classes because you quote unquote have to promote, buddy, you're not ready to promote. Sorry to break that to you, but if you're taking classes just to say that you're taking classes so you can put it on your annual review, and you're going to have somebody else do all the work for you, you're not ready to be that next rank. You are not ready to be in charge of somebody else's career, their quality of life, nothing. You are not prepared to lead them. And honestly, whether you're using ChatGPT or AI personally, it's still all around you every day, maybe without you even noticing it. If you Google something, you get the AI overview first, which, by the way, there actually is a way to turn that off in your browser settings. You just have to kind of dig pretty deep in there to find them, but you can actually turn it off if you're interested in that. But I mean, look around you, honestly. Like, there's AI generated ads all over social media. There's AI generated captions and AI generated pictures everywhere, which we all know they always mess up the hands. The hands are always jacked up. Did you notice that? That's why I always zoom in on first to see if it's real or not, because the hands will always be funky. They can just, I don't know, AI can just never get the fingers right. There's AI generated summaries of books now on Storygraph and on Goodreads, which tilts me to no end. And also, honestly, I don't even know how this is fully legal, but more and more authors, especially self-published authors, but like very popular authors, cough, cough, Colleen Hoover, they're using ghostwriters and AI to write their books. They'll provide a skeleton outline, but all dialogue, scene setting, character descriptions, those are all filled in by AI. Which that's probably a whole conversation in itself, because that's just insane to me. Because again, it's one thing if you're using AI to do, a secondary or a tertiary even like task at work or something. Like, if you're an engineer and if you're using AI to generate, I don't know, some sort of report or like a summary on something, or like generate work emails, I can kind of excuse that, because I'm like, your primary job and your primary focus is building bridges and stuff. I don't know, whatever engineers do on a day-to-day. But if your primary job and quote-unquote career path and quote-unquote life goal and your dream job as an author, you should be good at writing if you're an author. If you're an English major, you should be good at writing. Like, you shouldn't have to use AI if that's your actual career path. That's just my opinion on it. So whenever I see authors and I read that just kind of trash writing style, and you can just tell a human didn't write this, I'm like, buddy, why are you even publishing books? Why do you even have the audacity to call yourself an author if you're not actually writing this? What are you even doing here? But that's just me. That's just my take. This conversation is not over yet, though. Stick around for the next episode. There have been some crazy stats I keep reading about AI's impact on the environment, actually, which I never knew about. I never pieced that together because I was always focused on the whole academic dishonesty and also just being a decent human being. Like, don't lie about your work. Like, have a good work ethic. Be proud of the work that you do. Do the work yourself. That was always my approach to AI and my kind of, little bit of hatred towards AI, quite honestly, was always that aspect. But I've been reading. You just wait, okay? Just wait. I'll save it for the next episode. But its impact on the environment, freaking bonkers, dude. I'll tell you the stats about 2027. It's wild, right? It doesn't even sound real, honestly. But you know me, I'll do my research and make sure I get y'all credible citations and statistics to support it. But yeah, we're going to talk about that impact on environment with AI. And then also, because I just found this article too, and I'm like, what the actual shit are we letting happen to our next generation and to our general community? AI was recently connected with a teen suicide. And so I'm going to look into that too and see if the courts have come out with a decision yet on how much responsibility will be placed on who, essentially. I don't want to spoil too much info, but that will also be in the next episode with AI. I mean, AI is a monster, right? That's definitely not a one episode sort of conversation. So we will touch more on that later. So stick around. Also, thank you so much for the Spotify Wraps. I love that. Just warms my heart whenever I see my little logo there and the little Hard Truth podcast. You guys are the best. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for listening to me, literally just listening to me yap away about things I care about and things I'm passionate about. Unfortunately, not everybody does that. And so I really, really appreciate that you guys are willing and open. And just, y'all are the best. Hands down. Best fans. Okay, that is it for me this week. Have a good holiday season. If you're having a shitty holiday season, I am sorry. Hopefully it gets better soon for y'all. Let me know if you need anything. Feel free to reach out. As always, make good choices, be a decent human being, take care of each other, take care of yourself, write your own damn school assignments if you're in class, okay? Just do it yourself. Just do it yourself, okay? It's not that bad, I promise you. You are not that terrible of a writer. You can figure it out. Y'all are smart, you are capable, you are educated. You can write your own discussion posts. Okay? I'll just leave it at that. All right, I will catch y'all next time. Okay, bye.